The phone call that changed everything came at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. I was lying in my hospital bed, tubes running from my arms, machines beeping all around me, when my phone buzzed on the nightstand. My heart jumped with hope. Maybe it was Sarah, my daughter, finally calling to check on me after my emergency surgery. But it wasn't Sarah's voice I heard when I answered. It was my real estate agent, Jenny Martinez. "Mrs. Thompson, I have incredible news." Jenny's excited voice cut through the darkness of my hospital room. "The cash offer came through. The buyers want to close tomorrow. The house is sold." I hung up the phone and stared at the ceiling, a mix of satisfaction and sadness washing over me. In just 12 hours, I had made the most extreme decision of my entire life. I had sold the family home where Sarah grew up, where she took her first steps, where we celebrated every Christmas morning, the same house she was supposed to inherit someday, the house that she chose not to visit me in, even when I was fighting for my life. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how it all started 3 days earlier, when I thought my daughter still loved me. It was a beautiful Sunday morning in September, when I felt the first sharp pain in my chest. I was in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I had made Sarah pancakes every weekend for 18 years. The pain hit me like lightning, and I grabbed the counter to keep from falling. "Oh no," I whispered to myself, my breath coming in short gasps. Not now. At 62 years old, I had always been healthy. I walked 3 miles every morning, ate my vegetables, and never missed my doctor appointments. But something was very wrong. The pain spread down my left arm, and I knew I was having a heart attack. With shaking fingers, I called 911. Then, as the ambulance sirens grew louder in the distance, I did what any mother would do. I called my daughter. "Sarah, honey," I said, when she answered, trying to keep my voice calm. "I'm having some chest pains. The ambulance is coming to take me to the hospital." There was a pause on the other end. "Oh no, Mom. That sounds scary." "Which hospital?" "Street Mary's downtown," I said, wincing as another wave of pain hit me. "Can you meet me there?" "Of course, Mom. I'll be there as soon as I can." Those words gave me hope as the paramedics loaded me into the ambulance. My daughter would be there. Everything would be okay. But Sarah never came. I spent that entire Sunday in the emergency room, going through test after test. The doctors confirmed it was a heart attack, and they needed to do surgery right away to clear a blocked artery. It was serious, they said. Life-threatening. I kept looking at the door, expecting to see Sarah's familiar face. I called her phone 6 times, but it went straight to voicemail. "Hi, you've reached Sarah. I can't come to the phone right now, but leave a message and I'll call you back." Each time I heard that cheerful message, my heart broke a little more. Monday morning came, and I was wheeled into surgery. The last thing I remembered before the anesthesia took over was asking the nurse, "Has my daughter called?" "No, honey," the nurse said softly, adjusting my blanket. "But I'm sure she's on her way." But she wasn't. When I woke up Tuesday afternoon, groggy and confused, the first thing I did was check my phone. No missed calls from Sarah, no text messages, nothing. But there was a voicemail from my neighbour, Mrs. Patterson. "Dorothy, dear," her elderly voice crackled through the phone speaker. "I saw Sarah's car at your house yesterday afternoon. She was there with that husband of hers, loading boxes into a truck. I thought you should know. I hope your surgery went well, sweetie." My blood ran cold. Sarah had been at my house while I was having surgery, but she wasn't visiting me. She was taking things. What things? And why? With trembling fingers, I called Sarah's number again. This time, she answered. "Oh, hi, Mum," she said, her voice sounding distant and distracted. How are you feeling? How am I feeling? I could barely control my anger. Sarah, I had emergency heart surgery yesterday. Where have you been? I'm sorry, Mum. I've been so busy. Mark's birthday is tomorrow, and I've been planning this huge surprise party for weeks. You know how important his 30th birthday is to him. I felt like she had punched me in the stomach. Sarah, I almost died. I'm still in the hospital. I know, and I'm really sorry. But the party is already planned. All of Mark's friends are coming, and I spent so much money on decorations. I can't cancel now. I'm not asking you to cancel the party, I said, my voice shaking. I'm asking you to visit your mother in the hospital. I'll come see you this weekend, okay? After things settle down. This weekend? I repeated. Sarah, what if I had died on that operating table? There was a long pause. But you didn't, Mum. You're fine. The doctors fixed you up, right? The words hit me like ice water. You're fine. As if having emergency heart surgery was like getting a scraped knee bandaged up. Mrs. Patterson saw you at my house yesterday, I said quietly. What were you doing there? Another pause. Oh, that. Well, Mark and I we were getting some of Grandma's old china. You know, the set you said I could have someday. We thought since you were in the hospital, it would be a good time to grab it. We didn't want to bother you. I closed my eyes, trying to process what I was hearing. While I was fighting for my life in surgery, my daughter was at my house, taking my mother's precious china set, the same china that had been passed down through 4 generations of women in our family. You took Grandma's china without asking me. You always said I could have it, Sarah said, her voice getting defensive. And Mark really wanted to use it for his birthday dinner tomorrow. It's going to look so elegant. That's when something inside me snapped. Not just cracked, but completely broke apart. Sarah, I said, my voice deadly calm. Let me understand this. You chose to spend your time planning your husband's birthday party and stealing my grandmother's china, instead of visiting your mother in the hospital after she had a heart attack. It's not stealing, Mum. And don't be so dramatic. You're going to be fine. Dramatic. She called me dramatic for having a heart attack. You know what, Sarah? I said. You're right. I'm going to be fine. Better than fine, actually. I hung up the phone and immediately called Jenny Martinez, my real estate agent. Jenny, it's Dorothy Thompson. I want to sell my house. Tomorrow. I don't care how much under market value I have to go. I want it sold by Wednesday. Dorothy, that's very fast, Jenny said, surprised. Are you sure? This is a big decision. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, I said, staring out the hospital window at the city below. Find me a cash buyer, someone who can close immediately. And that's exactly what Jenny did. By Tuesday evening, she had found a young couple who had been looking for a house in my neighborhood for months. They had cash from selling their previous home and were desperate to move in before their baby was born. They offered $10,000 under my asking price, but they could close Wednesday morning. I accepted immediately, but I wasn't done. Not even close. I called my lawyer next. Bill, it's Dorothy Thompson. I need to change my will. Tonight. Dorothy, you're in the hospital. This can wait until you're better. No, it can't wait. I want Sarah completely removed from my will. Everything goes to the American Heart Association instead. There was a long silence. Dorothy, that's a very serious decision. Maybe you should think about this for a few days. I've thought about it enough, I said. My daughter chose her husband's birthday party over her mother's emergency surgery. She took my family heirlooms without permission while I was unconscious. I don't want her to inherit a single penny from me. Bill agreed to bring the paperwork to the hospital that night. As I signed the new will at 11 p.m., my hand steady despite everything I'd been through, I felt something I hadn't expected. Peace. For 34 years, I had put Sarah first in everything. I had worked 2 jobs to pay for her college. I had co-signed her car loan when she had no credit. I had given her money for her wedding, her down payment on her first apartment, her husband's business startup. I had been there for every birthday, every holiday, every crisis. But when I needed her most, she chose a party. Wednesday morning came quickly. I was still in the hospital, but I was stable enough to handle business over the phone. At 10 a.m., I signed the house sale papers electronically from my hospital bed. By noon, the deed was transferred. The house where Sarah had grown up, where she expected to inherit someday, was gone. And I still hadn't told her. That's when my phone rang. It was Sarah. "Mom, I have some exciting news," she said, her voice happy and bubbly. "Mark's birthday party was amazing last night. Everyone loved Grandma's china set. In fact, we're thinking of having dinner parties every month now. The china makes everything look so fancy." I listened to her go on and on about the party, about the decorations, about how happy Mark was, about how everyone complimented the food presentation on my grandmother's plates. She talked for 10 minutes about the party, before she even asked how I was feeling. "So anyway, how are you doing, Mum? Are you getting out of the hospital soon?" "Actually, Sarah," I said, my voice calm and steady, "I have some news of my own." "Oh, good. What is it?" "Cool." I took a deep breath, thinking about the house that no longer belonged to me, about the will that no longer included her, about the daughter who had chosen a birthday party over her mother's life. "Sarah," I said slowly, "I sold the house." The silence on the other end of the phone was deafening. "What do you mean, you sold the house?" she finally whispered. "I mean exactly what I said. The house is sold. The new owners moved in this morning." But that's my childhood home. That's where I grew up. You always said I would inherit it someday. That was before you chose your husband's birthday party over your mother's emergency surgery," I said calmly. "Mom, you can't be serious. You sold our family home because I couldn't visit you for one day?" "It wasn't just one day, Sarah. It was the day I almost died. It was the day I needed my daughter most, and you were planning a party instead." I could hear her crying now. "Mum, please tell me this is a joke. Please tell me you didn't really sell the house." "The papers are signed, Sarah. It's done. But where will you live when you get out of the hospital?" And that's when I dropped the biggest bombshell of all. "I'm moving to Florida, Sarah, tomorrow." The words hung in the air, like a bomb that had just exploded. I could hear Sarah's sharp intake of breath through the phone. "Florida?" she whispered. "What do you mean, Florida?" "I mean, I bought a condo in Tampa Bay this morning. 1 bedroom, ocean view, 55 and older community. I wire transferred the money from the house sale an hour ago." This wasn't entirely true yet, but it would be by the end of the day. I had been looking at retirement communities online from my hospital bed, and I had already called 3 places. The lie felt good rolling off my tongue. "Mom, you can't just move to Florida. What about your job? What about your friends? What about me? What about you, Sarah?" I asked coldly. "You made it very clear that Mark's birthday party was more important than your mother's life. So why would you care where I live?" "That's not fair." Sarah's voice was getting higher and more panicked. "I told you I was sorry. I told you I'd visit this weekend." "Too little, too late," I said, feeling strangely calm. "The moving truck comes Friday to pack up whatever's left in the house before the new owners take possession." "But you can't leave. I need you here." Now that was interesting. She needed me. After 34 years of me being there for her, suddenly she realized she needed me, but only after I was leaving. "You needed me Sunday night, Sarah. You needed me Monday during my surgery. You needed me Tuesday when I woke up scared and alone. But you weren't there. I could hear her crying harder now. Mum, please, can we just talk about this? Can I come see you now? Now you want to visit? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Now that I've sold the house and I'm moving away, suddenly you have time for your mother? I'll come right now. I'll leave work early. Don't bother, Sarah. Visiting hours end at 8, and I'm being discharged at 7. I have somewhere very important to be tonight. This was another lie, but I was getting good at them. The truth was, I would probably spend the night at a hotel near the airport, but Sarah didn't need to know that. Where could you possibly need to be? You just had heart surgery. I have dinner plans, I said smoothly, with my new friends from the retirement community. They're flying in to meet me and help me look at condos tomorrow. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that made my blood boil all over again. Mom, I think you're having some kind of mental breakdown. This isn't like you. Maybe the heart medication is making you confused. Confused. Mental breakdown. First I was being dramatic. Now I was mentally unstable. Sarah, I said, my voice ice cold. I have never been more clear-headed in my entire life. But Mom, think about what you're doing. You're throwing away our whole relationship over one mistake. One mistake? I repeated. Sarah, let me tell you about your one mistake. Your one mistake was when you were 16 and you got arrested for shoplifting. And I had to leave work to bail you out. And you promised it would never happen again. Mum, that was, your one mistake was when you were 19 and you crashed your car because you were texting while driving. And I had to co-sign a loan for a new car because your credit was terrible. That's not. Your one mistake was when you were 22 and you dropped out of college in your senior year to follow that boy to California. And I lost all the money I'd saved for your education. Sarah was silent now. Your one mistake was when you were 25 and you asked me to loan you $5,000 for Mark's business startup, money that you never paid back. I was on a roll now, years of stored-up hurt pouring out like water through a broken dam. Your one mistake was when you were 28 and you had your wedding, and you seated me at the back table with people I didn't know, because Mark's family needed to be up front. Mum, stop. Your one mistake was last Christmas, when you spent the morning with Mark's family, and only came to my house for an hour in the evening, and you spent that whole hour on your phone. My voice was getting louder, and a nurse peeked into my room, looking concerned. I waved her away. Your one mistake was 3 months ago, when I asked you to help me clean out the garage, and you said you were too busy. But then I saw on Facebook that you spent that whole weekend at Mark's golf tournament. Sarah was crying so hard now that I could barely understand her words. Mum, please stop. I get it. I've been a terrible daughter. No, Sarah, I'm not done yet. Because this last mistake, this final one mistake of yours, was the worst one of all. I took a shaky breath, my heart monitor beeping faster as my emotions spiked. Your one mistake was choosing a birthday party over your mother's life. Your one mistake was taking my grandmother's china while I was unconscious in surgery. Your one mistake was calling me dramatic for having a heart attack. The phone line was quiet, except for Sarah's sobbing. So you're right, Sarah. This is all over one mistake. The final mistake in a very long line of mistakes that showed me exactly where I stand in your life. Mum, Sarah whispered. What can I do? How can I fix this? And for just a moment, my heart softened. This was my little girl, the baby I had rocked to sleep, the toddler whose scraped knees I had kissed better, the child who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. But then I remembered Sunday night, lying in the emergency room, calling her number over and over while she was home planning a party. You can't fix this, Sarah, I said quietly. Some things can't be fixed. But I love you, Mum. Do you? I asked. Because love isn't just words, Sarah. Love is actions. Love is showing up. Love is being there when it matters most. I do love you. I'll prove it. I'll do anything. And that's when the most twisted idea came to me. An idea so cruel and perfect that it made me smile for the first time in days. Anything? I repeated. Yes, anything. Just please don't move to Florida. Please don't leave me. Okay, Sarah. I'll make you a deal. I could practically hear her holding her breath. I want you to throw me a party. A bigger, more expensive, more elaborate party than you threw for Mark's birthday. What? A party? That's right. Since Mark's birthday party was more important than your mother's life, I want you to prove that your mother is at least as important as your husband. Mom, I want you to rent the ballroom at the Marriott downtown. I want you to invite everyone we know. I want a full catered dinner, a live band, and professional decorations. Sarah was quiet, probably calculating how much this would cost. And, I continued, I want you to use your own money, not Mark's money, not money from your joint account, your own money from your own paycheck. Mum, that would cost thousands of dollars. I don't have that kind of money saved up. Then I guess you'll have to figure it out, won't you? Just like I had to figure out how to raise you by myself after your father left. This was hitting below the belt, and I knew it. But I was past caring about being fair. When would you want this party? Sarah asked in a small voice. This Saturday, 5 days from now. This Saturday? Mom, that's impossible. I can't plan a party that big in 5 days. You planned Mark's party in weeks, didn't you? Surely your mother deserves at least the same effort, even if it's rushed. I could hear her crying again. Mom, this isn't fair. You're trying to punish me. I'm not trying to punish you, Sarah. I'm giving you a chance to prove that you love me. But even if I do this, even if I throw you this party, will you forgive me? Will you stay? And here's where I delivered the cruelest blow of all. I'll consider it, I said. If you can pull off a party that shows me I actually matter to you, then maybe we can talk about rebuilding our relationship. It was a lie, of course. I had already made up my mind. I was done with Sarah, done with being taken for granted, done with being the mother who gave and gave and gave while getting nothing back. But she didn't need to know that yet. Okay, Sarah said, her voice barely a whisper. Okay, I'll do it. I'll throw you the best party ever. I hope so, Sarah. Because this is your last chance to prove you love me. I hung up the phone and immediately called my real estate agent back. Jenny, I have another favor to ask you. Sure, Dorothy. What do you need? I want you to quietly put the word out that I'm moving to Florida. Let it slip to a few people in town. Make sure it gets around to Sarah's friends. Okay. May I ask why? Because, I said, settling back into my hospital pillows with a satisfied smile. I want everyone at that party to know that my daughter threw me a farewell party after I sold my house and decided to move away because she chose her husband's birthday over her mother's heart attack. Jenny was quiet for a moment. Dorothy, that's pretty harsh. Good, I said. It should be harsh. The next few days passed in a blur of phone calls from Sarah. She called me every few hours with updates on the party planning, her voice getting more stressed and panicked each time. Mum, the Marriott ballroom was already booked, but I found another place. It's not as nice, but it's available. Mom, the caterer wants half the money up front, and I had to borrow it from Mark. He's not happy about it. Mom, I sent out invitations to everyone I could think of. I hope people can make it on such short notice. Mum, the florist is charging extra for rush delivery, and the band costs more on weekends. Each phone call made it clearer that Sarah was falling apart, trying to pull this together. She was spending money she didn't have, fighting with Mark, and working 16-hour days to organize everything. and I felt absolutely no sympathy for her. Friday morning, I was finally discharged from the hospital. I checked into the Hampton Inn downtown, just 2 blocks from where Sarah was having my party the next night. That evening, Sarah called me one final time. "Mom, everything's ready for tomorrow. I really hope you'll be happy with it." She sounded exhausted, defeated, and scared. "We'll see," I said coolly. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "What?" "If I do this, if the party is everything you wanted, will you really consider staying? Will you really forgive me?" I stared out the hotel window at the city lights below, thinking about the condo application I had submitted that morning, thinking about the moving company I had hired, thinking about the new life I was planning far away from here. "Sarah," I said softly, "tomorrow night, you're going to learn exactly what kind of mother you've been to me." And then I hung up, turned off my phone, and went to sleep. Tomorrow night was going to be very interesting indeed. Saturday evening arrived like a storm I had been watching build on the horizon for days. At exactly 6 o'clock, I walked into the Crystal Ballroom at the downtown Hilton, wearing my best black dress and the pearl necklace my mother had given me 50 years ago. What I saw took my breath away. Sarah had outdone herself. The room was absolutely beautiful. Round tables covered in crisp white linens filled the space, each one decorated with elaborate centerpieces of white roses and gold ribbons. Soft string lights hung from the ceiling like stars, and a professional photographer moved through the room, taking pictures of everything. A live jazz band played softly in the corner, and waiters in black vests carried trays of appetizers and champagne. It looked like a wedding reception, not a party for a 62-year-old woman who had just had heart surgery. And the people. Oh, the people who came. Mrs. Patterson from next door was there, looking confused but dressed in her Sunday best. My co-workers from the accounting firm, where I had worked for 15 years. My book club friends, my church group. Even some of Sarah's old high school friends had come with their parents. But what struck me most was how everyone looked at me when I walked in. Not with celebration or joy, but with pity and concern. Because the word had gotten out, just like I had planned. Everyone knew I had sold my house. Everyone knew I was moving to Florida. Everyone knew Sarah had missed my emergency surgery to plan her husband's birthday party. And now everyone was watching to see what would happen next. Sarah rushed over to me the moment I walked in, and I was shocked by how she looked. She had lost weight this week. Her face was pale and drawn, and there were dark circles under her eyes, like she hadn't slept in days. "Mom," she said, her voice shaky with exhaustion and hope. "What do you think? Is it what you wanted?" I looked around the room slowly, taking in every detail. The ice sculpture in the shape of a heart. The custom banner that read, "We love you, Dorothy." The video screen playing a slideshow of pictures from my life. "It's very nice, Sarah," I said quietly, her face lit up with desperate relief. "Really? You like it? I can see you put a lot of effort into it." "I did. Mom, I worked so hard this week. I barely slept. I used all my savings and borrowed money from 3 different people. I wanted to show you how much I love you." I nodded and walked deeper into the room. People came up to me all evening, making small talk, but I could see the questions in their eyes, the confusion about why I was having a farewell party, the uncomfortable knowledge that my own daughter had chosen a birthday party over my emergency surgery. Mark was there, standing near the bar with his friends, looking angry and uncomfortable. He kept glaring at Sarah whenever she wasn't looking, and I could tell they had been fighting all week about the money she was spending. As the evening wore on, I watched Sarah run around like an anxious host, making sure everyone had enough food, checking with the band, adjusting decorations that didn't need adjusting. She was trying so desperately to make everything perfect. And that's when I realized something that surprised me. I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't feel vindicated or triumphant. I just felt tired. At 8 o'clock, Sarah clinked her champagne glass to get everyone's attention. Everyone. "Thank you so much for coming tonight to celebrate my mum," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "I know this was short notice, and I know some of you might be confused about why we're having this party." The room grew quiet, and I could feel everyone's eyes moving between Sarah and me. "The truth is," Sarah continued, tears already starting to form in her eyes, "I made a terrible mistake this week. When my mom was in the hospital having emergency heart surgery, I wasn't there for her. I chose to stay home and plan my husband's birthday party instead." A few people gasped softly. Others shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. "I thought I could visit her later. I thought the party was more important. I thought—" Sarah's voice broke completely. "I thought she would always be there, so it was okay to put her second." She was crying openly now, and I saw several people in the crowd wiping their own eyes. "But my mom almost died that night, and she woke up alone, scared, and wondering why her only daughter wasn't there." Sarah looked directly at me, her face streaked with tears and makeup. "So she sold her house, the house where I grew up, where all my childhood memories are. She's moving to Florida because she doesn't want to live near a daughter who treats her like she doesn't matter." The room was dead silent now, except for Sarah's sobbing. "This party isn't really a celebration," she continued. "It's an apology. It's me trying to prove to my mum that I do love her, that she does matter to me, that I'm sorry for being such a selfish, terrible daughter." She turned back to face the crowd, wiping her nose with a tissue someone handed her. "My mum asked me to throw her a party that was bigger and better than the one I threw for my husband. She wanted me to prove that she was at least as important to me as Mark Island." I felt my cheeks burning as everyone in the room turned to look at me. Some faces showed understanding, others showed judgment, but most just showed sadness. "The problem is," Sarah said, her voice barely a whisper now, "I don't think any party in the world could make up for what I did. I don't think any amount of money or decorations or fancy food can prove love after you've already proven that you don't have it." She walked over to me, her hands shaking. "Mum, this party cost me $8,000. I borrowed money I can't pay back. I spent my entire savings account. I worked myself sick trying to make it perfect. $8,000. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. But you know what?" Sarah continued. "Even if I had spent $80,000, it wouldn't change what I did. It wouldn't change the fact that when you needed me most, I wasn't there." She reached into her purse and pulled out a small wrapped box. "This was Grandma's ring," she said, placing it in my hands. "The one she left to me in her will. I want you to have it back." I looked down at the box, knowing without opening it that it contained my mother's diamond engagement ring, the one she had specifically left to Sarah because she was the only granddaughter. "I don't deserve to have Grandma's ring," Sarah said. "Just like I don't deserve to inherit your house someday. Just like I don't deserve to have a mother who loves me after the way I've treated her." The room was so quiet, I could hear the air conditioning humming. "So this party isn't really for my mum," Sarah said, turning back to address everyone. "It's for me. It's my way of saying goodbye to the mother I took for granted until it was too late." She looked at me one final time. "I hope you'll be happy in Florida, Mum. I hope you'll find people there who appreciate you the way I never did." And then she walked out of the ballroom, leaving behind a room full of stunned guests and me standing there holding my mother's ring. People started to whisper among themselves. Some got up and left. Others came over to me, not knowing what to say. But I barely heard any of it, because something inside me had shifted during Sarah's speech. Something I hadn't expected. I had gotten exactly what I wanted. I had humiliated my daughter in front of everyone we knew. I had made her spend money she didn't have. I had forced her to publicly admit what a terrible daughter she had been. So, why did I feel like the terrible person? I stayed at the party for another hour, going through the motions of thanking people for coming, but my heart wasn't in it anymore. All I could think about was Sarah's face when she handed me that ring, the defeat in her voice when she said goodbye. When the last guest finally left, I found myself alone in the ballroom, with the servers cleaning up around me. $8,000 worth of decorations and food and music, all for a party that had ended with my daughter walking out in tears. I drove back to my hotel room and sat on the bed, still holding the small box with my mother's ring inside. My phone had 17 missed calls from Sarah. I listened to the voicemails one by one. "Mom, please call me back. I'm sorry I left the party. I just couldn't handle it anymore. Mom, I know you're probably even more angry at me now. I know I ruined everything. Mom, please. I don't know what else to do. I don't know how to fix this." The last voicemail was different, quieter. "Mom, I've been thinking about what you said about love being actions, not words. You're right. I never showed you through my actions that I loved you. I always just expected you to know." I heard her take a shaky breath. "But you know what I realized tonight? You didn't show me love through your actions either. You showed me punishment. You showed me revenge. You made me humiliate myself in front of everyone we know, not to teach me a lesson, but to hurt me the way I hurt you." I felt tears starting in my own eyes. "So I guess we're both pretty bad at love, aren't we, Mom?" The voicemail ended, and I sat there in the silence of my hotel room, staring at the ring box in my hands. My phone rang. Sarah's number. I almost didn't answer it, but something made me pick up. "Hello, Sarah. Mom." Her voice was hoarse from crying. "I have something to tell you." "What?" "I quit my job today." This was not what I expected her to say. "What do you mean, you quit your job?" "I mean, I walked into my boss's office this morning and I quit. No notice, no explanation. I just quit." "Sarah, that's crazy. Why would you do that?" "Because I'm going with you to Florida." I felt my heart stop. "What?" "I'm going with you, Mom. I'm leaving Mark. I'm leaving my job. I'm leaving everything here. And I'm going with you." "Sarah, you can't agree." "Yes, I can. I already called Mark and told him. I'm done being the kind of person who chooses birthday parties over her mother's life. I'm done being someone I don't even recognize." I was quiet for a long moment, trying to process what she was saying. "Sarah, I need to tell you something." "What?" "I'm not really moving to Florida." The silence stretched between us. "What do you mean?" I took a deep breath. "I mean, I made it up. I was angry, and I wanted to hurt you. So I made up the whole thing about moving to Florida." But you said you bought a condo." I lied, Sarah. Just like I lied about having dinner plans with new friends. Just like I lied about the moving truck coming Friday. Another long silence. "So where are you really going to live?" she asked quietly. "I don't know," I admitted. "I actually did sell the house. That part was true. But I don't know where I'm going to live now." "Why?" Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "Why did you really sell the house, Mum?" And for the first time in this whole mess, I told her the complete truth. "Because I was hurt, Sarah. I was hurt and angry, and I wanted to hurt you back. I wanted you to feel as abandoned and scared as I felt lying in that hospital bed." I started crying then, really crying. For the first time since this all began. I wanted you to know what it felt like to lose someone you love, even if that someone was me. We both cried quietly for a few minutes, connected by our phones and by 34 years of complicated love. "So what happens now?" Sarah finally asked. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I don't know if we can fix this. I don't know if we should fix this. I hurt you so badly, Mom, And I hurt you back just as badly. Yeah, she agreed. You did. We sat in silence for a while. And then Sarah said something that surprised me. You know what, Mom? Maybe we both needed this. What do you mean? I mean, maybe I needed to feel what it was like to lose you, so I would understand how much I've been taking you for granted. And maybe you needed to let out 34 years of hurt, so we could finally be honest with each other. I thought about this. Maybe. I still want to come with you, Sarah said. Wherever you're going, even if it's not Florida. What about Mark? Mark and I, we've been having problems for a while now. This whole thing just made it clear that we want different things from life. He wants someone who puts him first in everything. And I want to be someone who puts the people I love first, including my mother. Sarah, you don't have to choose between Mark and me. Yes, I do, Mum, because for years I've been choosing Mark over you, and look where that got us. It's time for me to choose differently. I looked around my hotel room, thinking about the house that was gone, the daughter who was offering to follow me anywhere, and the life I had blown up in a fit of righteous anger. Sarah? Yeah, Mom? I'm sorry too. I'm sorry I manipulated you and lied to you and made you humiliate yourself tonight. I deserved it. No, you didn't. You made a mistake, but you didn't deserve what I did to you. So where do we go from here? I smiled through my tears, feeling something like hope for the first time in a week. I guess we figure it out together, I said. Maybe we can look at apartments tomorrow. Find a place where we can both start over. I'd like that, Mom. And Sarah? Yeah? Thank you for the party. It really was beautiful, even if it ended badly. You're welcome, Mum. And thank you for selling the house. Why would you thank me for that? Because if you hadn't, I never would have realized what I was about to lose. We talked for another hour that night. Really talked. In a way we hadn't talked in years. We talked about hurt and forgiveness and what it means to love someone even when they disappoint you. And when we finally hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt since this whole thing started. Peace, not the cold, bitter peace of revenge, but the warm, complicated peace that comes from telling the truth and being heard. 6 months later, Sarah and I are sharing a 2-bedroom apartment across town. She got a new job at a smaller company where she doesn't have to work weekends. I'm seeing a cardiologist regularly and taking better care of my health. We still fight sometimes. Old habits die hard. But we also have dinner together every Sunday, and she calls me every day just to check in. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. Mark and Sarah are getting divorced, but it's amicable. He's dating someone new, someone who thinks his birthday parties are the most important thing in the world. And me? I'm learning that love isn't about keeping score. It's not about making someone pay for their mistakes or proving who cares more. Love is about showing up, even when it's hard, even when you're angry, even when you don't know how to fix what's broken. Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones who hurt us the most. And sometimes the only way to find your way back to each other is to lose each other first. The house sold to a lovely young family with 2 small children. I drive by it sometimes, and I can see them in the yard. The kids playing on the swings I used to push Sarah on when she was little. And you know what? I'm happy for them, because that house was full of memories, both good and bad. But Sarah and I are making new memories now, better ones, in our little apartment, with the big windows and the view of the park. It turns out you don't need a house to make a home. You just need someone who chooses to show up for you, day after day, even when it's hard. Thanks so much for listening. If this story had you glued to your screen, imagine what's coming next. We dive deep into the most shocking family conflicts, workplace betrayals, and life-changing decisions that will leave you questioning everything. Hit that subscribe button right now, because trust me, you don't want to miss our next video. Please like and drop a comment below. Team Dorothy or Team Sarah? I'm reading every single comment.